I'm Sam from Cultaholic, and this is Graded for Friday Night SmackDown, where I take a look at the show segment by segment and award each little bit of grade from A+ to F. Now, it is night one of the 2020 WWE Draft, and there's one important question on everybody's minds, and that is, are we going to see those awful cutaways that were pre-recorded, and they were like, oh look, it's the Fox Draft team, and it was just actors shuffling papers. I really want to know if we're going to have that this year. But it is a jam-packed week, so much so that I actually think that a segment was bumped because there was just too much going on. So without any further ado, let's crack on with it. Hit the intro. Michael Cole kicks things off by welcoming us to the visually pleasing interactive arena built just for you, the WWE Thunderdome. That's quite the tagline there, but out comes Stephanie McMahon. Steph is here to dole out the draft picks tonight, so unfortunately we're not going to be cutting to all those really awfully acted segments, but I'll read out the first round of picks for you. So round one, Raw choose Drew, Asuka, and the Hurt Business. Hurt Business getting a very early draft position there. That's great. SmackDown get Roman and Seth Rollins. This is gonna be class. We quickly cut to Seth backstage and he says that he's excited to come over to SmackDown, but he is just a little bit emotionally hurt and upset at the fact that he's not going to witness the Mysterio family's downfall firsthand. And then it's time for our first match of the evening, and boy are we starting off with a big one. We've got Sheamus versus Big E in a Falls Count Anywhere match. This one has been brewing since Sheamus attacked Big E in the car park, and the match pretty much kicks off with Big E taking it straight to him and grabbing a kendo stick. He's about to use it when Sheamus manages to stop him, and he ties him up in the ropes. Like, he puts his arms through the ropes, pulls the other rope over so he can't escape, and Big E's legs are dangling. He's in like a crucifix position, and then Sheamus grabs the kendo stick and then just absolutely canes his nipples off. There's a little bit more back and forth when Big E escapes, and then Sheamus is like, you know what, I'm going to go look for some more weapons. So he goes under the ring, can't find what he's looking for, he's just throwing stuff aside, and then he starts crawling further and further under until just his feet are left on the outside. Big E sees this, sees some duct tape, and decides, let's have a bit of fun. So he tapes Sheamus's feet together, and then proceeds to absolutely smash him in with a kendo stick. So much so that Sheamus goes flying into the crowd area. Both of them brawl to the back. I think Sheamus plants Big E onto this like ramp that's been lying across some flight cases, and then he drags him over to this craft services table where there's some eggs and I imagine protein powder. And he pours it over him like it's flour, hurls eggs on him, just dumps a whole tray of eggs on him, and it was just a bloody mess. Who's gonna clean that up, Sheamus? They continue to brawl down a corridor. Sheamus grabs a monitor, like a PC monitor, and he goes to hit Big E with it, but Big E manages to stop him, and he manages to get him away with a broom before grabbing a bin and nailing him with it. That bin sends Sheamus flying through a door to the car park where this entire thing started. Big E clearly leading the charge here. Sheamus is trying to crawl away from him and he's like pleading with him and stuff. But when Big E comes closer, Sheamus nails him with a tire iron. It was all a bloody ruse from the pesky Irishman. But he doesn't just stop there. He grabs him, takes him up onto the bonnet of the car. I'm sorry, Americans, I know you get really annoyed when I say things like bonnet and boot, but I'm English, and car park, I'm English. It's just how the words are supposed to be said. But he gets him up onto the bonnet of the car, and then he white noises him into the windshield, goes for the pin, 1, 2, Big E kicks out. He then grabs him, opens this car door, hurls Big E halfway in and starts slamming the door against his ribs. He drags Big E to the boot of the car and tries to obliterate his arm by slamming the boot down shut on it. Big E stops this though and starts bringing the fight back. Sheamus comes in with a bro kick. Big E ducks out of the way. Sheamus kicks the boot off the car. This allows Big E to hurl Sheamus into a windshield and then drags him up onto the bonnet of the car, hits the big ending through 2 tables to pick up the win. I'm going to give this one an A-. And I know that a lot of people are probably going to be like, what are you talking about, you nutter? But it's just that I find modern hardcore matches a little bit lacking. And this proved that you can do it. You can still do it. You don't have to go to quite the level you did in the 90s. But, you know, this actual match wouldn't have felt out of place in 2000. It just really wouldn't. It was full of exciting moments. It had some big key spots, like the glass and everything on the car. It was just great. When we come back from ad break, we then go to Big E backstage. He's about to be interviewed. Then this security guy comes up and starts shuffling toward him, and it's revealed to be Kofi. Kofi's back. And then all of a sudden the interviewer leaves, and another security guard shuffles up, and it's Xavier Woods. They say that they're happy to be back, but there is only one thing missing, and that is their tag team championships. They're back here tonight primarily to recapture them. And then we go to Jey Uso for an in-ring segment. Down he comes, and he just wants to know the stipulation. He's like, come on, Roman, what's the stip for Hell in a Cell? Just tell me what it is. Silence. Roman just ignores him. Jey then runs him down for ignoring him and says, you know what? There will be consequences for you doing this. And Heyman then comes on the Tron and he's like, look, stop. Just stop, okay? Like, you're embarrassing yourself, you're embarrassing Roman, and most importantly, you're embarrassing your family. Heyman says that Roman applauds ambition, and he applauds Jey's ambition, but for those with maybe a little bit too much ambition, the following will happen. And then he shows a clip of Jey being mercilessly beaten down by Roman at Clash of Champions. Roman then appears on camera and he's like, you know what? I just wanted to help you, and all you had to do in return was acknowledge me as your tribal chief, but you didn't do it. So you want to know the stipulation? Fine. For the first time ever at Hell in a Cell, it's going to be an I Quit match inside the structure. Roman tells Jey that he loves him, but after he says I quit at Hell in a Cell, there will be consequences, echoing Jey's sentiment. I'm going to give this one a B. I thought it was good. It was a little bit disappointing to me, considering last week I'd come up with this whole thing in my head where I was like, he's going to fight for his whole family's jobs. This is going to tear the whole family apart and all of that. But, you know, that's on me. I'm the one that ran away with that and you know, got off all in my own head about it. This is still going to be heavily dramatic, and there are going to be massive consequences, not just for Jey, because I'm assuming Roman is going to beat him down, but it's not quite going to be as handily as it was at Clash of Champions. Jey's probably still going to lose this, but I think Roman is going to be a little bit rocked by this whole encounter. So both sides of this are going to come out of this match changed in a way. Steph then comes out for round 2, and before she starts, she confirms that tonight we are going to have Cesaro and Nakamura versus Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston for the SmackDown tag titles. But onto the round 2 picks, and I'll read them out now. So Raw has gone for AJ Styles, Naomi, and Nia and Shayna, and SmackDown has gone for Sasha and Bianca Belair. We're losing AJ Styles, which sucks, but we're getting Bianca Belair. So we've got Seth Rollins and Bianca Belair already. This is going pretty well for SmackDown. Holy balls. We then get a really quick clip here of AJ backstage just saying, you know, well, I should have been SmackDown's first pick. That's their loss and everything. And, you know, he's just excited to go over to Raw, etc., etc. He gets to be away from people like Jeff Hardy and Sami Zayn. He doesn't have to concern himself with that whole circle anymore. And then next up, we have another match. We've got Miz and Morrison versus Jeff Hardy and Matt Riddle, which is apparently a match that was booked on Twitter this week. Riddle and Morrison start off with a little bit of double teaming on the face side to send the heels to the floor. We go to an ad break, we come back, and Jeff is being worked into the ground by the heels. And then, really from there, Jeff goes for an early twist of fate, and then there's a little bit of a breakdown, and then everybody's sort of going for each other. And then Riddle, in the ensuing chaos, after that's all quickly done, hits the Broderick, picks up the win. So they're about to celebrate, and they're immediately cut off by a returning Lars Sullivan. Oh boy. So Lars is somebody that I don't think anybody was really expecting to see again after everything that came out, but coverage hat back on, I guess. He's got a new look, he's got a tighter beard, he's still the same old monster, comes in and just levels everybody. I'm going to give this one a C. It was an inconsequential squash here by a completely mismatched team. It was just here to serve as Lars's re-debut. And then Steph comes back out. How you doing, Steph? She comes out for round 3. SmackDown go for Jey Uso, Dominic and Rey Mysterio. We are cleaning up tonight. And then Raw go for Ricochet, Miz and Morrison, and Mandy Rose. Miz, you absolute bastard. Next up, we go to another big hyped match for tonight. It's Sasha Banks versus Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Sasha explodes onto Bayley just as ring announcements are being wrapped up. She beats her down, hurls her to the floor, and Bayley's like, you know what? Nah, and just starts walking to the back. So Sasha has to run up the ramp, grab her, drag her back in, and immediately goes for a bank statement. And Bayley, while she manages to escape it, she's obviously being rocked by Sasha's jump start here. There's another bit where Sasha's in the corner, she's like going up to climb, Bayley looks like she's cut her off, and then she gets Sasha up onto her shoulders, and then Sasha just rolls it through, into another bank statement. There's just this level of aggression here from Sasha that we haven't seen in quite some time, and it is fantastic. Bayley goes back to the outside. Sasha tries to drag her back into the ring, like just pull her back into the ring, and Bayley, turning, reveals she's got a chair in her hands, and boom, Bayley retains via DQ. Post-bell though, Sasha's not quite finished, is she? No, she didn't get her revenge, and Bayley has just cheated her out of the title. So she grabs the chair and she proceeds to absolutely murder Bayley with it. She goes to Pillmanize her neck just like Bayley did to her, and Bayley's able to escape, and the referees, all like, you know how they get loads of referees down to break up fights, they're all down, they sort of put the distance between them and they're like, no, that's it. I'm gonna give this a C+. It wasn't really much of a match, it was more of an angle fattener, and it just goes to show that Sasha was completely right. Bayley, without Sasha, is incapable of retaining that title. And this is just, you know, proving that to the audience here after that was said. I think it was last week. So yeah, this is just, that was all that was for. Sasha looks aggressive as hell. It's great. This is so good. Real quick here, I'm not even going to throw an image up. Owens is backstage taping up his wrists ahead of his match with The Fiend tonight. Alexa pops up and she's just like, let him in, Kev. Just let him in. Just let him in. And then we go to ad break. And now it's time for the tag title match. So we got Cesaro and Nakamura, the current champions, going up against Kofi and Xavier, the New Day. Cesaro and Woods start off with Cesaro seeming to get the upper hand until Woods is able to find his feet. Commentary's making a big deal about ring rust, and I guess, you know, Xavier has been away a while. With some double teaming from the faces though, they are almost able to put Cesaro away, but Nakamura breaks up the pin. When we come back from the break though, Xavier and Nakamura are just going at it. Cesaro jumps in, but Woods is able to handily just fight them both off, because he's class, isn't he? The heels then trap him and work him over, but he is able to fight his way to Kofi. After some stuff on the outside, Cesaro looks a little bit rocked, but he still goes for the swing. Nakamura jumps in to do the Kinshasa into the swing, but Woods traps his leg on the outside in just some sterling tag team work. Kofi then gets a blind tag to Xavier. Kofi nails Nakamura, takes him out of the equation, and then Cesaro is just left primed for an elbow drop for Woods to pick up the 3. The New Day are 7-time tag champs. Oh my God. Big E comes out all taped up to celebrate with them, and this match was great. I'm going to give it a B+. It was a sterling showing. Absolutely sterling showing of good tag team wrestling. It felt great to see Kofi and Woods back in the ring too. We have sorely missed them, and it just breathed life into the tag division, which is something that we do need from time to time because we tend to just see the same few teams. This just felt fresh. As they're celebrating in the ring, out comes Steph to run down the round 4 draft picks, and she just completely ruins our lives here, doesn't she? She absolutely ruins our lives. So I'm just going to read it out. Raw, draft Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. The New Day, who are in the ring, are confused and like, you didn't mention Big E, like what's going on? Is he coming over with us? Or, you know, and then she's like, SmackDown have drafted Big E. And then the New Day, visibly distraught, have realized that they have just been forcibly separated by the WWE draft. The New Day are still a thing, but they ain't going to be together as a full unit for quite some time. For me, like, I'm always somebody who said that you could do such an amazing breakup of the New Day. And this isn't really a breakup, it's more like they've been placed into separate schools. But yeah, I just, over a draft, really? Big E is having a hell of a run though. I want to see him go and take the title. So if that allows us to do that, and then 6 months down the road we can have a big happy reunion or something, that'd be class. But I really hope that this is just sort of long-term. It's just going to result in them all being back together so that when we do break them up, we can have a very dramatic moment. In terms of the rest of the round, SmackDown went for Otis. Again, no Tucker. Raw got Dana Brooke and Angel Garza. We then go to Otis and Tucker backstage, who are wearing just some fetching suits. Tucker looks sharp as hell. Otis just looks fly because he's not got any sleeves. He's got his sleeveless suit back on the go. It's just great. But then somebody comes up and like, you Otis? Yeah. Hands him a manila envelope and he opens it, and then Tucker's like, that Miz, that pesky Miz, his lawyer has pushed the trial back. I also loved here that Tucker was helping Otis with legalese. They had a big legal dictionary, and Otis was just reading words out and going yeah, like he was just fully training his brain like he'd train his body. And then we go to Sasha for a super short promo here where she essentially tells Bayley, you know what, I knew you would cheat and I'm fed up of your game, so we're doing this again, except next time we do it, it's going to be inside a cell and you ain't escaping me. And then it's time for our main event of the evening, which is Kevin Owens versus The Fiend. Just want to start off here as well. Big shout out to Corey Graves. I know you're into some cool stuff, but giving Clive Barker the nod there during The Fiend's entrance, you mate, you're a ledge. And this match, just before we get into it, is very interesting. It's more like character development match than anything else, but The Fiend, oh my, this is just good. So Owens goes straight in on The Fiend. He's trying to lay him out, gets him in the corner, goes for a cannonball, but The Fiend just pulls himself right back to his feet. He then takes it to Owens and flattens him with this brutal looking crossbody in the ring. On the outside, nails him with a brutal looking clothesline just to wipe him out. Owens isn't the type to go down without a fight though, so whenever the Fiend seems to capitalize and take it to him, he'll fight back to his feet only to get leveled again. And whenever he's able to get something on the Fiend's just straight back to his feet as if it never even affected him. There's a really cool headbutt from the Fiend that he just nails him, sends Owens into the rope where he springs back with this brutal lariat, but again, the Fiend just gets up. Owens does manage to send him to the floor, but the Fiend grabs him, Uranagis him into the edge of the announce table before nailing him with an Abigail on the other side of the table. There's another Abigail attempt, but Owens valiantly fights his way back up out of it and then really turns it on. He starts just laying into him. Cannonball, and the Fiend looks like he's staying down. He even hits him with a bloody pop-up powerbomb through the announce table. Not just once, because it sort of doesn't go quite to plan the first time, twice into the announce table, the second time sending him through it. But it isn't long after that the Fiend in ring catches Owens into the mandible claw, and Owens cannot escape. He tries everything. He's struggling, he's laying in strikes, he even goes for a stunner, just grabs his head while he's got the claw in and just pulls him down. Doesn't work, the Fiend just straight on it. Owens is out cold. The Fiend wins the match, and then the lights go out, he disappears, and he reappears at the top of the ramp, where Alexa Bliss is waiting for him. They stare into each other's eyes, and we go off the air. I'm going to give this one a B+ because I just love seeing The Fiend as a horror villain. Now, you can't do this all the time with him, of course, because if this was every single match where, one single thing, like a huge spot, and he's just straight up after everything, it's not going to work. But it works in moments like this where you're expanding the feud and you're expanding the storyline between this group of people. I think it makes sense to really show The Fiend as this dominant horror movie style villain. It just harkens back to classic wrestling promotion as well, doesn't it? Because if he just starts running Owens over on TV, everybody's going to want to see the eventual payoff that's probably coming at Hell in a Cell. And then Owens just passionately throwing everything in his arsenal at him, just laying into him. Pop-up powerbomb through the table, cannonballs, nothing worked, which has to be a scary prospect for Owens moving forward. In terms of an overall grade for SmackDown this week, I'm going to give it a B+. We had some real drama going on here, especially surrounding the breakup, or separation rather, of the New Day. We had some great draft picks coming in. We've got ourselves Bianca Belair, Seth Rollins, and the Mysterios so far. And we've got the continuation here of the Kevin Owens Fiend drama, which is just going to keep mounting and keep mounting. Overall, it was a pretty hectic but straightforward show. I'm still a little bit miffed that we didn't get the courtroom scene this week, but all good things to those who wait. So that was graded for Friday Night SmackDown. I've been Sam from Cultaholic. What did you guys think of the show? Let me know in the comments below. You got any hot draft picks you think are going to happen? Let me know below and we'll talk about it next week. As always, stay safe and I'll see you soon.